The following podcast contains spoilers and language that our mothers would prefer we did not use. Like,
mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did. Hey, nice to have you still with us. We're still here, Billy.
We sure are.
What was that?
I don't know, I'm tired. I'm really tired.
Okay.
And the pizza feels so long ago now. I need some wings.
Yeah, we should feed you.
Yeah, I need to eat.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Because we're going to watch Prometheus.
Well, I'll get some popcorn or something for this.
Okay.
All right. Shall we continue along with watching all of the Alien and Predator films?
Let's do that. Let's continue the journey. In fact, let's go into the past.
Oh. All right, let's do it. Okay, we're back. Prometheus has been watched.
I touched on this I touched on it not that long ago in real life, but in last week's episode, as it will happen in podcast land.
Well, yes.
I don't mind this movie.
Yeah, I like this. I am a Damon Lindelof apologist. A lot of people out there don't like Lindelof at all, don't like anything he does. You know how I feel about Lost.
You're Lindelon.
Good pun, mate. You know how I feel about Lost. You know that I think Lost is one of the greatest things ever to have been on television. And I quite like Prometheus. I think it's pretty good.
I don't think it's getting ahead of ourselves. I don't think it's great, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the... No, I don't want to speak for other people, but I will.
Classic Toph.
I think some of the problem with this film was the job they did before it came out in communicating what this was.
This was the problem.
I've got to say that I put some of that on people, not them, because I went into this film, my understanding was that I was watching a film that was in the Alien universe.
Yes.
But wasn't going to be a direct Alien type film. Now, I think that's what I got. But clearly there was a disconnect between audiences' experience of this film and what they thought they were going to get.
Now, we all know that my memory is terrible. So I'm trying to think back to 2012. My recollection is that most of the marketing was not even geared toward this being an Alien film at all. Like, I feel like early on, the talk was that maybe it was like a spiritual successor, but not even actually related. Like, I feel like early on, when it was announced Ridley Scott was doing this sci-fi movie, the talk was more about it, being like loosely linked, like really loosely. And then I felt like it was people who got in this like, oh, it's a prequel, and I don't know.
People are normally the problem.
Yeah.
Look at democracy.
All right, so Prometheus is a 2012 science fiction film directed by Ridley Scott, written by John Spaihts and Damon Lindelof, and it stars Noomi Rapace, Michael Fassbender, Guy Pearce, Idris Elba, Logan Marshall-Green, and Charlize Theron.
Who was originally going to be the lead.
Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
So she was going to be the Noomi role?
She was going to be Noomi, and then her schedule wasn't going to line up, but then all of a sudden... She was free, but by that point, Noomi Rapace was on board, so she was like, oh, well, I'm happy to do that role. And that's why it's like, it's a reasonably small role for Charlize Theron to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was keen to be involved, and that's why she's doing that reasonably small role.
I mean, who wouldn't be keen to be involved in a Guy Pearce-fronted picture? Like, He's got he's Hollywood royalty. He is... We all know and love him from Dating the Enemy, of course, but... He is Hollywood royalty. We love Guy Pearce.
Here in the Guy Pearce hive that is We Watched a Thing.
that is my home theatre. We love Guy Pearce.
Yes. If you don't like Guy Pearce, get out. Did you see, before this film came out, one of the bits of marketing for it, which I thought was great, was that they released effectively it was a TED Talk that Wayland was giving.
Oh, no.
And so Guy Pearce did that. And it wasn't super long. It was like 5 minutes or something, as I recall, that they just put out there. And it was really cool. It kind of got me... I was in from before I even saw this film.
Yeah.
I was like, well, because Guy Pearce is there.
Well, and I think it was funny reading the Wikipedia thing just then, that I think this is the first one that has just said science fiction film and not science fiction action film. And I think that makes sense because this is a very slow-moving, slow-paced film that is much, much more heavily into the science than any of the previous films. This really has very little to do with the alien and is more about the science fictionness of it, the ship and the android and all that kind of stuff.
Sticking with Guy Pearce.
As we always do.
When we do see him in this film as a hologram addressing the crew as they head off on their mission, is he meant to look like Dr. Evil?
I thought the same thing as the outfit, right? He's in the same outfit.
He actually has the Dr. Evil futuristic silver outfit.
I thought the same thing. And I wonder if part of that is that now people I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous. You look at Alien where they're just wearing like 70s and 80s clothes and smoking all the time. People make a real effort now to go futuristic. It doesn't always work well.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing we've kind of lost here. Alien was still with that sort of Blade Runner, Star Wars, dirty future.
This is not. Yes. And in some ways that's okay because this is a prequel. So maybe this is the new future. Like maybe all this technology is rather new at this point.
And then, it has actually decayed a bit by the time of Alien.
I actually don't mind that so much.
There we go. We've explained that one away.
I really like the look of this film, actually. I love the earthy terrains. I like the look of the tech. I think this is a really nice looking film.
You've brought it up before in this series that it needs people to make bad choices for anything to happen. I have so little sympathy for the guy that cops the phallic alien in the throat. Like, that thing, the guy's on an unknown world. He comes across a creature which rears up like a cobra, and he's like, I'll pat it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's patting it.
Absolutely no sympathy when this thing breaks his arm and then deep throats him. No sympathy.
I like the design of that thing too.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
One thing that seems pretty laughable to me, and yes, there's a reason they do it, but I don't think it's a good enough reason. The idea that they have a med lab surgery bed that's gender specific. I beg your pardon.
I get that.
We can fly across the galaxy, but this little surgery thing here, no, it's just for dudes. Really? Really?
Yeah.
A vagina's going to trick this thing?
Yeah, you would think that by that point we would be past that.
Yeah, this thing's like a 14-year-old boy. It looks all confident, and then it sees genitalia and freaks out.
Locks up.
I don't know what to do. Absolutely laughable.
I must say, though, the surgery scene in this film.
Great scene.
Easily the best scene in the film.
Yes.
That scene is incredible. And Noomi Rapace is so great. It reminded me of the birth scene in A Quiet Place, where you feel so tense and you genuinely don't know how this is going to work out. I thought that was really, really great.
I do think it's a pretty fantastic scene.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm really into that one.
The whole alien in the belly thing, it's not new, is it?
No, we've seen that one before.
We've seen it before. Like one thing, if you're in a sci-fi movie and your partner has been to space or you're in space, you probably just shouldn't have sex, I feel like. It's like having sex while camping in a horror movie. It's just one of those things that you feel like people should know not to do now.
Like, you knew where this was going.
You knew what to do. Have you seen The Astronaut's Wife with Johnny Depp?
I have not.
Ah. Charlize,
yes.
Most other people disagree with me. I don't know why. I like that movie.
I'm probably not going to see it.
But that's another alien in the belly type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mate, spoilers.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you'd get that
for an old film that no one is ever going to watch again.
You should watch it, people. You should watch it.
Don't do it. It's a trap. Here's one thing that I struggle with a bit in this film. With the engineers, who they're not necessarily visible for that much of the film, but they are a big part of this story. When we first come face to face with an engineer, which is a fair way into the film, is a pretty advanced species. Does it mesh with you that it would see people, that it would see us, and its reaction is just to wail on us? Why does it hate us?
Well, but you could say that about most creatures in films. Like,
I just feel that this thing should be a bit beyond that.
Because it's so advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the alien is a perfect organism.
We kind of are it in terms of the...
Yeah.
I don't get that guy waking up and just ripping on people.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
That's fair enough.
What I do like is at the end, the scene between that engineer and the epic facehugger.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah. Anything with a facehugger is always going to be good for me.
But for the most part with that engineer, I'm just like, I mean, I know some people are grumpy when they wake up and you've been asleep for a long time, but chill out, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a long nap. I'd kill to sleep for more than 5 hours. Like, I don't want to scare you because I know that your kid is on the way, but mate, you can say goodbye to sleep. I just, like, did you just see the chaos of my life and decide that's what I want? Because you're not going to sleep. Yeah, I feel like I would not be so grumpy if I had more than 5 hours sleep.
Can I just say that if I was one of Idris Elba or Charlize Theron and there lay the opportunity to have sex with the other one, that is absolutely the choice I would make.
Mate, then you'd just get more aliens in the belly.
Yeah,
You're not learning the lessons.
I don't care. If I'm one of those two, that's the choice I make. Because Idris rocks and is a very handsome dude.
Oh, yeah.
And Charlize is... I mean, quite possibly not even human.
Can I ask you something about Idris's accent in this film?
Okay, fans of things like The Wire know that Idris can do not just do an American accent,
yeah.
He can do a specific American accent.
That's right. So what the fuck happened here? I
guess that accents change over time. And in this universe, where the southern states of the US have extended down to, say, Bolivia.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's from Bolivia.
Okay.
But in this time, that's what an American Bolivianese accent sounds like.
Because it's really bad. And I don't understand where it's coming from because it's not his normal voice. He is doing an accent.
Yep.
I just don't know what he's trying to do. Yeah, it's strange.
I don't care, though. I love Idris. I will say that while I am a bit of an apologist for this film, I didn't enjoy it as much this time as I did when I first saw it. I think there are structural problems with this film. It doesn't... The scenes don't necessarily string together particularly well.
Since seeing it again, I have dropped it a full point. I still think that there are some really great things about it. Like I said, the surgery scene is incredible. But I do agree with you, it felt long this time. It felt a lot longer than I remembered it feeling.
It's not a particularly long film. It's a 2-hour film that at times chugs along. Even though some of the scenes I really, really dig. It's a funny one. It's not just the level that I wind up landing on with this film is by no means the level of every scene or every, for argument's sake, 20-minute chunk of the film. It's a bit of in terms of its quality for me, I find it a bit of a roller coaster. Yeah. And there's parts of it that really work for me and parts that really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I don't care for the two bumbling, who you mentioned before with the Cobra thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them kind of just wandering in there and I don't care for that. And as I said, I think to me, the strongest parts of this film are the more science fiction type parts. Anything on the ship and stuff, I like more than them poking around in the environment looking for aliens.
It's almost like it just didn't quite have the moxie to follow through with really being not an alien film.
Yeah. That's right. I agree. I think that they got scared and decided, no, we got to have some aliens. And the alien parts actually feel very unrelated to me to the rest of the film.
But, whatever. Guy Pearce is in it.
I mean, 10 out of 10.
Haven't spoken about Fassbender.
Oh, shit, yeah.
At all.
You love some Fassbender.
Big part of the film, Fassbender.
Big part of and in fact, he's what carries across to Prometheus then. No, this is Prometheus. Covenant. He's great, as always. I feel like there's not a lot to say about him, though, because even though he's a big part of the film, at the same time, I feel like he's not. He doesn't carry any of the emotion or story of the film, really.
Because he's a robot.
Exactly. So I don't really know what to say about him. He's there. He's fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't crack out his flute as much as he should. I remember in Covenant he plays a lot of flute, and I'm like, yeah.
Thank God there's some flute to come. All right, so where do you sit with Prometheus?
Yeah, look, not as high as I remember being. I'm a 6. I still think it's a better than average film, and there are some parts of it that I think are exceptional. Like, I still think the birth scene, the surgery scene is amazing. All in all, though, when I take everything into consideration, I'm a 6.
Yeah, I'm a 5 out of 10. I think it's fine. I'm happy to watch it, but there is a bunch that doesn't work for me. But certainly, I'm not at the level of hysteria that a lot of people are with this film.
No, there are people who genuinely say that this film is the worst in the franchise, and that's just ridiculous. We're like, we just watched Resurrection, people. This is in no way the worst film in the franchise.
Definitely better than Resurrection.
All right. Shall we crack on and check out Covenant?
Yes, should we check out another drinking rule while we're at it?
Well, yeah, we should, because Covenant is the last one, buddy, before we get into that.
Yeah.
So I think this is our last rule. Let's hear what our great mate Paul from the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast has for us.
Hello, Billy. Hello, Topher. This is Paul from the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews coming at you today with a new rule for your newest movie marathon. And gee, I hope it's been a better one than the Fast and Furious franchise, but I'm not alone. I, of course, have my co-host here.
Bitch, please.
That's right. Wayne is joining me today because we both want to wish you all the very best with this venture, Alien and Predator franchise viewership, and by this stage, the very end of it, I'm sure you are regretting many of your life choices. But here's another reason to regret. Every time in this AVP film, when you think this particular thing,
this is the dumbest shit anyone ever said in the history of, and I don't think I'm exaggerating here, time.
You should take a drink. Or to make it a little bit more general, every time you roll your eyes at how ridiculous this particular movie is, then have a drink and think of us in that particular moment. I'm sure it's going to go completely and utterly pear-shaped if it hasn't already by the time your listeners are hearing this. So, all the very best for this one. You're going to need all the luck in the world, but we can't wait to listen. So, from me, Paul, and Wayne,
I stand resolute, motherfucker!
Enjoy this, and we will catch you very soon. Cheers. Oh, and Toph, keep hating, mate. Keep hating.
Well, I'm glad that this time we decided to only get 5 rules, because from memory, the last 2 marathons we did, we got in the vicinity of 8, and it was too many.
It was too many.
These rules, I feel like each of them on their own could comatose us. So, thanks, Paul. Thank you. We appreciate the murder.
Wow. Strong language from Billy.
Well, I mean, that happens a lot in AVP, right?
Yeah, I guess. Again, the amount that I remember about the AVP films.
All right, shall we crack into Covenant?
Let's do Covenant.
Let's do it. We made it. We watched it. We watched Covenant.
We watched Alien Covenant.
A 2017 science fiction horror film directed and produced by Ridley Scott and written by John Logan and Dante Harper. It stars Michael Fassbender, Katherine Waterston, and Billy Crudup, Danny McBride, and Demián Bichir.
You know, one thing, before Prometheus came out, there was a lot of, is this an alien film, yada, yada, yada. I remember before this film came out, there was a lot of, is Waterston Ripley's mum?
Oh.
Which I love your reaction to that. It's just daft. And I blame Star Wars.
Yeah, but yeah.
I blame Star Wars for that because it's like, really? Because she's a woman?
Yeah. Listeners both know how we feel about Rey in Star Wars.
Yeah. Anyway, Waterston, not Ripley's mum.
No.
And thank God.
Look, I'm going to come out there and say it. I still really like this film.
I remain okay with this film.
I like this film. I like this. This is good.
I tell you one thing I like about right from the beginning of this film.
Fassbender playing his flute.
Fassbender on a flute.
Flute bender.
But right from the off, there's a feeling in that flashback scene between David and Wayland,
Yeah.
Fassbender and Guy Pearce. There's a feeling that David has a screw loose.
Yeah.
And of course, at this point, yes, we already know that. But I just like the fact that from the off, like David's just been
Created.
quote unquote born,
Yeah.
whatever. And in the first minutes that he's alive, he brings up his father's death.
Yeah.
And you're like, look out. I mean, part of me's like, well, how dumb are you, Wayland?
Yeah.
Because this thing's clearly going to kill you.
Well, this is where I really like that these later films are getting more into the science fictionness of it. As I said when we watched Alien, what are we calling them? Synthetics, androids, whatever.
Skin jobs.
Robots. They are like as much of, is not more of a mainstay than the actual xenomorph is in this franchise. And finally, we're starting to get into these a bit more. And, there's a line in Aliens when, Sigourney is really like,
Oh, with Bishop.
yeah, she's weary of Bishop, and Bishop is talking about Ash, and he says, "Oh, that's
They were
weird
always
that-
a bit dodgy.
yeah." And I like that we're finally getting into that aspect of it a little bit more, because these are androids. They're programmed. Like, they're supposed to just do what you tell them to do. And I heard someone, I can't remember who it was, talking about that line and being like, well, the funny thing is that he wasn't dodgy. He was following his orders. He was supposed to protect the xenomorph above all other life forms. There was actually nothing wrong there. And I like that finally we're getting into that kind of, that arc of it with the androids. I like that.
This film is in no way hiding its alienness,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a creative choice. I suspect it's actually got
It's an
more to
apology.
do with bowing to disgruntled people typing in all caps. Because even, just the title sequence for this film is
Yes.
they bring back the alien text.
But it doesn't work as well.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't give you that same feeling. Yeah.
Another thing that happens very early on in this film, right as the crew are waking up on the ship, is that Katherine Waterston's character, her husband, dies in his pod, which I gotta say I find an odd choice, because we've just met her, so we don't yet, things happening that she cares about don't yet greatly affect us. And we don't know this character, the guy who's dying, we don't know him from a bar of soap. So not only do I not care that he's dying, I don't care that she's losing her husband, because I also don't know who she is. I'm just like, why did we even have this guy?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
that's fair.
I'd have saved 45 seconds of the movie, personally, and just been like, yep, woke up.
Yeah, that's fair.
We've touched on the fact that this film, in some ways, it's appeasing fans rather than striking out on its own, I would say. But one thing it does that is truly bold and not bowing down to convention is deploying the Legionnaire flap cap.
Yes.
That is a bold move.
Yes. We love a Legionnaire cat.
Do we?
Yeah. Do you think you could pull it off?
I know full well that I couldn't.
I mean, I'm wearing a flat cap myself right now, and I'm pulling it off
Yeah,
pretty darn well.
There's a big leap from the flat cap to the flap cap.
Yeah, it's like the mullet of hats.
It is the mullet of
It's
hats.
like business in the front, very strange party up the back.
Yeah. What a move by the costuming department.
I mean,
What a flex.
okay, there's a couple of weird costuming choices, like those all white suits. They're dressed like the sperm in a Woody Allen movie. I know that you're a fan of Fassbender and his let's just say his legendary manhood. Do you think they had to CGI that out of this suit?
It's a period in this film that this might sound weird to some people. I could go for more of robot Fassbender just cruising around the ship while everyone's asleep. I think it's good stuff.
Of course you do.
A good little a nod back to Alien Resurrection with the basketball where Ripley.
Yep.
Well, we didn't talk about that in Alien Resurrection.
we forgot,
That scene where she throws the basketball over her shoulder, and you assume it's a bit of movie magic because the ball actually goes out of shot before going in. But she actually did do it. It took an awful lot of takes.
Yeah.
But Sigourney did actually eventually nail that shot. And here you've got Fassbender on a bike just sinking baskets, and I'm into it.
I bet you are. I personally like the look of this. I think that the color palette in particular, like this is a lot grimmer and darker. Prometheus is quite a bright film, really, for its subject matter. This really leans into the blues and stuff. I was a fan of this. This reminded me more of the first two Alien films look-wise than any of the others in the franchise have.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the exteriors once they do land. That the whole look of that low cloud over the landscape is quite striking. I'm kind of into that section of the film where they strike out on foot once they've landed and going for it. I'm just like, oh my god, yeah. I'm on board. I'm on board with this ride.
Yep.
So far, and then I actually think it's a pretty strong section of the film between like from there to hurrying back when after the first. It's not a chest burster in this film; it's a spine burster.
Yeah.
Where again, people making bad choices that really should be containable. Where one character's like, let me out. There's clearly time. Let me out. and another character doesn't. And you're like, fucking come on. And then eventually that ship blows up. Which is, I like that whole stretch of the film. I'm into it.
Yeah. Where the film falls down for me, particularly look-wise, I had forgotten just how weak I think the CGI in this film is. This is only a 2-year-old film, and I don't think it looks as good as it should. I feel like particularly, and I spoke about this earlier, I think, the animation of the creatures is fine. I think the rendering and the compositing isn't great. I don't think any of the creatures look like they really blend in with the space that they're supposed to.
I think it's a fairly major flaw in this film is that it shows a xenomorph. And this is the first, like, timeline-wise, this is the first xenomorph we see. Seeing it in full light. I don't think it's a great call.
Yeah,
When it jumps on the ship as they're trying to escape and everything, and I'm just like, just a bit about it.
Yep.
One thing I do like kind of that this film does with the xenomorph and with the use of David, Fassbender's character in the film, is that what this film does is spells out this, it brings to light this idea that the xenomorph ultimately is the culmination or the price that humans pay for their own advancements.
Yeah.
And if Weyland doesn't make David, we don't get the xenomorph. That, I think, is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think, and that's where I go back to that kind of more sci-fi elements of the story, because that's where sci-fi is rooted. Sci-fi really is about humanity more than technology. Sci-fi is about what we as a species do to get ahead, and
and cause and effect.
Yep. So to me, that's where this really, really takes its stride. These last two films is picking up more on those elements and less on the action horror elements. Because I think that when it does get into the action or horror, these two films do not do it as well as the originals.
Agree. And
so the science fiction is really where it picks up.
Yeah, because by the time we've moved to an actual xenomorph doing the killing in this film, I don't think it's very strong.
No.
I think, like I said, I think seeing the xenomorph in full light is just an error for me. I think the shower scene where a xenomorph kills those people just feels very un-alien to me. It's like, what? This is something out of a Jason film.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, okay, well, not really there for that. And then once it's on the ship and it's kind of almost a bit Alien 3-like in the way that they're trying to direct this thing to where they want it to go. And we cut to xenomorph vision, and it's I find it just a bit dumb.
Yeah, particularly when this is the 6th film in a franchise and you're introducing these new things now. Again,
there was a bit of it in Alien 3, that kind of weird, distorted, running up the walls. You did see it a bit there. And now, and it wasn't, I didn't think it was good in Alien 3. So now we've brought it back, but we've also changed it.
Yeah.
And I'm just not here for xenomorph vision at all. That's one thing where, that's Predator's thing.
Yeah, yes.
Let Predator have Predator vision. I think for me watching this film, there's a thing that kind of hangs over it for me where it feels like it wants to be a correction for Prometheus, for what people thought they wanted from Prometheus, but also because it's the direct sequel to it, it also can't abandon it entirely. And I think Prometheus is guilty of this as well to an extent, that this one and Prometheus are stuck in this kind of no man's land of it's not quite a full-blown, thoughtful science fiction film, but it also doesn't succeed completely as an Alien-style horror film. I don't think this one or Prometheus nail the balance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Because like I said before, I think the action horror sequences really do fall flat. Like really flat. But I agree, it's not really, really high level sci-fi either.
Yeah, it's got one foot in one pool and the other foot is in another pool, and it's like, well, you know what? I know you're trying to please a lot of people, but ultimately I think you'd be better off pleasing one camp.
Yeah. So do you think this is the last we've seen of the Alien franchise? Do you think this is the last of the prequels we've seen?
It might be the last of the prequels. In a world where Terminator Dark Fate can get made, I would be loath to say this is the end of Alien films, because I think that both Prometheus and Covenant, despite their flaws, are still significantly better than most post-T2 Terminated films.
Yeah.
I think the franchise probably does still have legs, but probably taking a breath would be a great thing for the franchise.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if we had like a 10, 15-year gap even. But I agree. I think this is probably the last of the prequels. I think that, like you say, this already tried to correct for issues that the fan base had with Prometheus. The fans still weren't happy with this on the whole. So I can't see them continuing down this stream.
And ultimately, that's just going to be a financial decision.
Well,
this film did not have the returns they wanted. Yeah. So, ultimately, it'll have nothing to do with whether there should be another one of these. They just won't, because they don't think there's money in it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, someone will be like, there's still money to be made out of a xenomorph. And that will dictate that at some point, yes, I do think there will be another Alien film.
Alien is technically now a Disney property, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, aren't they Fox? I'm pretty sure that Fox still own Alien.
Okay. Bring xenomorphs into the MCU.
20th century, yeah. So
right.
So technically it's a Disney property, and we know how much Disney love rebooting things and love making money.
They love making money.
So I wouldn't be surprised. And Disney have finally started branching out into more adult audiences. Even the MCU is getting some R-rated additions. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a more gruesome, grittier Alien coming out sometime. All right, so what are you giving Covenant?
Like Prometheus, I'm a 5 out of 10.
Yep, I'm sitting exactly where I have almost every film today. I'm a 6.
6?
I'm a 6.
You just flatlined, basically.
Like, I just feel like this... I thought that this franchise would have more ups and downs. It's really very middling over a whole. Like, you've got a couple of really high peaks, you got a couple of very low lows, but most of these films for me are really just hitting around the middle.
More Fassbender.
All right. Is it finally time?
Okay.
Are we going to do this?
You just said that there weren't enough troughs in this franchise. Well, hold on to your butts.
I know. We spoke about how we were going to structure the day. Are we going to do what are we going to do last? What order are we going with? And we know that these two aren't the last chronologically or release date, but we're like, well, if it's going to be a drinking game, it's got to be these two.
That was really the deciding factor. It was because whenever we do these, it's the last two that are the drinking game. And I was like, I'm not watching them sober.
So I guess it's here. I guess it's time. Let's get into it.
Let's watch these for a second time.
Well, we're going to hit play on AVP, Alien versus Predator.
Which, I mean, that's got to be a kick-ass film,
I
right?
mean, just listen to that title. Fuck. You and I both love Freddy vs. Jason, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That film rips.
Tell you what, that's the next marathon we should do. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we will see you on the other side of AVP.